And G7 statement puts nuke bar on Iran. As per the G7 statement, Iran can never have a nuke weapon. Israel has right to defend self, and G7 calls on Israel and Iran to de-escalate. That's the big update that is coming in. The G7 summit is happening in the background of the Iran-Israel escalating conflict, but now G7 has issued a statement putting nuke bar on Iran. G7 statement says that Iran can never have a nuke weapon and that Israel has a right to defend itself. G7 has called on Iran and Israel to de-escalate. Now, this comes after US President Donald Trump has cut short his G7 summit trip in Canada, and he is all set to return to Washington, D.C., saying that he needs to be there as soon as possible, citing quote-unquote obvious reasons. And amid all of this, now G7 has also issued a statement saying that Iran can never have a nuke weapon and that Israel has right to defend itself, and it has also called on Israel and Iran to de-escalate. That's the big update that is coming in. The G7 has issued a statement on the escalating tensions between Israel and Iran. And remember, Donald Trump had also made this statement. He had, without mincing any of his words, said that Iran is not winning this war and that Iran should have signed the nuke deal. And now, after all of this, G7 has also issued a statement saying that Iran can never have a nuke weapon and that Israel has a right to defend itself. In fact, the G7 has called on Israel and Iran to de-escalate. India Today Global's Pranay Upadhyay is now joining us with more details on this. Pranay, the G7 has now issued a statement saying that Iran can never have a nuke weapon and that Israel has all the right to defend itself.
You're absolutely right, Anjali. G7's leaders have issued a statement after their meeting in Calgary, Canada, that Israel has a right to defend and Iran could not have nuclear weapons and nuclear program. But if you see the biggest statement coming out from the President of the United States, he clearly said that Iran is not winning the war. And also when he was asked about that whether the United States will join this conflict, whether the United States forces will join the Israeli forces, he did not. He neither confirmed nor did he deny. And in fact, cutting short his G7 visit to Canada, he's returning back to Washington, D.C. And also, straight away, he will be going to the national security meeting in the White House Situation Room. So this clearly shows that this conflict is intensifying. And consecutively, for the fifth day, the conflict is still on. And just about an hour ago, the sirens were sounded in Israel because missiles were fired from Iran, and the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, has issued a statement saying that we are trying to engage all the missiles which are being fired. And overnight, there have been multiple missile firing on Israel. Also, on the Iranian side, there have been airstrikes carried out by the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces. Israeli Air Force has carried out these strikes on various locations, including capital Tehran, especially the northeastern part of Tehran was hit by the Israeli strike. So this clearly shows that there is an intensification of the conflict. There is no negotiation currently underway to cool down the tempers. Also, the siding of President Donald Trump clearly with Israel is also an issue because he has clearly said that the onus of de-escalation lies on Iran, and Iran should.
All right, we'll try to reestablish that connection with Pranay Upadhyay, but the big update that is coming in as far as the Iran-Israel conflict is concerned, that the G7 has now issued a statement saying that Iran can never have a nuke weapon and that Israel has right to defend itself. In fact, G7 has also called on Israel and Iran to de-escalate. Now, this comes after Donald Trump cut short his trip to Canada, the G7 summit, and is now returning to Washington, D.C., citing obvious reasons, which comes amid the escalating tensions between Iran and Israel. But without mincing his words, Donald Trump clearly said that Iran is not winning this war and that Iran should have signed the deal. But he is all set to return to Washington, D.C. He said that he needs to be there as soon as possible. And amid all of this, now G7 has also issued a statement putting nuke bar on Iran. G7 statement says that Iran can never have a nuke weapon and that Israel has all the right to defend itself. In fact, G7 has also called on Israel and Iran to de-escalate. Remember, the conflict has entered its fifth day with no signs of de-escalation, although Iran has now called for a ceasefire, and it has also said that it is ready to negotiate on the nuclear negotiation flexibility. But amid all of this, the G7 has also issued a statement saying that Iran can never have a nuke weapon and that Israel has all the right to defend itself. The G7 has also called on Israel and Iran to de-escalate. This also comes after, while Donald Trump was in Canada for the G7 summit, he was asked if he will be siding with Israel in this war. He did not respond clearly, but he also did not deny. In fact, India Today Global's Pranay Upadhyay is back with us. Pranay, please continue.
Yeah, as you were also saying, Anjali, the clear indication from the US side is that they are with Israel. Also, they protect the right of defense for Israel. Also, President Donald Trump himself and the US side has clearly accused Iran that they are hell-bent to have the nuclear weapon, and that is the reason why the negotiation, which lasted for over 5 rounds for around 60 days, has failed, and that is the reason why this conflict has begun. On the other side, there have been mediation attempts by the Russians, because the Russian President Vladimir Putin had a phone call with President Donald Trump. He had a phone call with the Iranian president as well, and also he spoke to the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. But amid all this, there is a big statement which came from the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, where he clearly said that even the Iran Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is not out of bound for the Israeli strikes, and this is a big statement. If that happens, then this is going to be another level of big escalation. Also, the Israelis are also not only talking about taking out the nuclear sites or denuclearization.
Do stay with us. Let's first listen into what Donald Trump said on Iran having nuclear weapon.
I've spoken to everybody.
What will you say?
Israel is doing very well, as you probably noticed, and I gave Iran 60 days, and they said no, and the 61st you saw what happened. Day 61, so I'm in constant touch, and as I've been saying, I think a deal will be signed, or something will happen, but a deal will be signed. And I think Iran is foolish not to sign one. Iran basically is at the negotiating table. They want to make a deal. And as soon as I leave here, we're going to be doing something. But I have to leave here. I have, this commitment. I have a lot of commitments. I have a commitment to a lot of countries. I want to see no nuclear weapon in Iran. And we're well on our way to making sure that happens.